G'day guys, this is Tasmu, and I am here today to bring you a short series of future screencasts where I'll be covering Ruby on Rails. So what Ruby on Rails is basically a back-end website development framework based off the Ruby language. It's very much like PHP, based on a high-level programming language that offers a large amount of diversity and the ability to bring powerful dynamic ability to your website. And basically, it's incredibly powerful, it's beautiful to use, and it is great to get into, both as a new language if you wanted to move on from something like PHP into something a bit newer and more refined, or it also is quite doable for people looking to get into the web development and pick up their first sort of language. They could use Ruby and Rails. So this is just a little quote I wanted to put in by Tim O'Reilly, the founder of O'Reilly Media. He says, Ruby on Rails is a breakthrough in lowering the barriers of entry to programming. Powerful web applications that formerly might have taken weeks or months to develop can be produced in a matter of days. And that is not an overstatement. I won't be going into too many technicals in this video, but I will take the time to explain some of the reasons why you can do stuff like this in Rails as opposed to other languages. Oh, whoops. Oh yeah, click. Alright, why Rails is great. So the syntax itself is based on Perl or Lisp. It's sort of inspired by them. If you've ever used them before, you'll know they have a really nice syntax to work with. It's very nice and easy to write in, and it makes a lot of sense. So that's one bonus straight off the bat. Sorry. Rails is designed to be a joy to use. Basically, the language itself and Ruby is heavily focused on giving you very readable code and very elegant, short, and understandable ways of getting what you need done. Rails follows the MVC design pattern. That's your models, views, and controllers. Basically, in a short, I'll cover that later, but it splits all of your logic and your views and your layouts and everything into separate areas, so it's very easy to come back in later and customize it without it makes your site a lot better. It's a little bit hard to use in the beginning, but you'll quickly learn to love it. Alright, Ruby on Rails follows a thing called convention over configuration. Now this is the main thing that lets you get Rails things completed very quickly, whereas something might take like weeks in PHP, you could do it in days easily using Rails, because when you try to get something done, Rails assumes that you're gonna do it in a certain way, and because of that, it can set up a whole bunch of defaults that'll just work for you straight off the bat. And this allows you to do very powerful things very quickly using the conventions they already have in place. Having said that, if you ever needed to configure anything, you can easily override it with ease. It's very simple, and so it doesn't take away any of the flexibility. It just gives you some conventions. Ruby and Rails is entirely object-oriented, so that's another plus. It offers you a RESTful interface. For those who don't know what REST is, I advise you go check it out, because it's quite a large topic to cover. I won't be doing it in this video, that's for sure, but it's definitely where the web is heading, without a doubt. It's very handy. Ships out with a full testing framework, so it allows you to write tests for your app, and if anything ever breaks, it'll alert you. Basically means that you'll always know your website's working perfectly, and it uses migrations. So instead of having to, log into PHPMyAdmin and create your tables and all that sort of stuff, you just write a file and then after you finish writing the file, you run a command and it'll go through and do it all automatically. And that's great because if you ever move it over to your server, you can just run that command and you don't have to rebuild the database or do anything like that, which is really cool. So, moving on. Rapidly develop. So yeah, basically, went over this earlier. Using the tools Rails gives you, it allows us to begin developing very quickly with minimal configuration. If you ever need to tweak anything, it can be done later. It's forgiving. This is a good one. Pretty much, Rails is very modular and a very forgiving framework. So anything you do, anything you screw up, can easily be taken back with no worries. With the exception of a couple little things, chances are, if you utilize Rails properly, you can do something, and you realize you don't want it. It's just a matter of one command, and you can remove the feature altogether, and your website will still work fine. You won't get any errors. It also runs on Git. For those of you who don't know about GitHub and stuff like that, it basically allows you to save versions of your code and go back and view them anytime you like. So let's have a look-see. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go in and I'll show you just how to make a... I'm just going to go basic. I'm not really going to explain it all. I'll explain it later, but I'll just show you an example of a very, very basic, simple thing you can do in Rails. We're going to make ourselves a quick anime character database where you can add characters, edit them, view them, delete them. It'll use the full CRUD on objects, instances, which will be our characters. So, let's do it. If we move along here, and we are going to go into my Rails folder, and I've already got Rails installed and everything. If you need to get Rails installed, I advise you check out YouTube for some other tutorials. There are some good ones on there for installing Rails on your system and setting up your development environment. But anyway, let's go Rails. This is a terminal, by the way. You're going to be using this a lot. A lot of this might turn some people off a little bit, but trust me, terminal is a godsend. So, Rails, new, and then our name. So we'll go anime chars. How about that? Anime char. For anime character, and you just hit enter. And you'll see it created a whole bunch of files. This is basically our entire project right here, and it's running bundle install, so don't worry about that too much yet. But basically you'll see it's creating our config files, our app files, our public and test, and all that other stuff. This will take a little bit to finally finish up, but it shouldn't take too long. But in the meantime, I'll just sort of explain it. You'll see there'll be a bunch of main folders in the thing. You've got your app, your main app folder that holds your website, basically. All your models, all your controllers, your views, whichever rendering out pages, controllers, and the config is for setting up stuff like your database and things like that. And yeah, so I'll probably pause this, and then once it's finished, I will quickly come back. Alright guys, well we're back and the bundle's complete. The installation of our thing is complete, which is great. Now we're going to quickly jump into the folder that we made, which I believe was animator, and then open it in our text editor. Alright, here we are. Just delete this. Yeah. Just close it down. We don't worry about that too much right now. And we want to move this guy to an area that we can work in. I'm on Ubuntu at the moment, so I get 4 screens to do my workspaces in, which I do love. Alright, so here's all the folders I was telling you about. We have our app folder that has all of our app in it, all of our website in there basically. Bin folder that just has commands for the command line. Config has our routes. I'll explain those later. Database is basically for our database. That's all automatically set up too. And public holds our public pages, like our 404 page, our fab icon, and our robots and stuff like that. So anyway, Give me a sec to have a little quick puff and I'll jump back in. Alright, so we're going to start off straight away and we're going to have a look at our website, how it starts right off the bat, because the website is already ready. So I'm going to cd into Rails and just quickly set this up, and then don't worry about those commands, it's just for my system. Now what we want to do is cd into our anime character things and type in Rails server or Rails S, and when you download Rails, you'll see it comes with all this stuff already there for you. This will start up a local server for you running Rails. We don't use Apache. We use depending on what you do, but this sets up a local WebRick server, which is a great server for Rails. So hit that up. You'll see booting WebRick. It says it's running on port 3000. So if we go over to here now, we type in localhost port 3000. This is our website right here. It just says, welcome aboard, you're writing Ruby on Rails. Gives you a couple of useful little getting started things. Just saying, use the Rails command in your terminal to generate our controllers and models and sort of stuff. We set up routes. Routes are like, you do it in a file and you say, when somebody types in, /home, take them to this function, and then that function will render out the home page. And creating the database, we don't need to worry about that just yet, because we are using SQLite, which is the default one, and that basically automatically sets up a database for us and everything, and it just makes everything run smoothly for your development. And then when you put it into production, you can change to a different database and all the code still works. You don't even have to do anything. So we'll minimize this for now. And what were we going to do? Well, for one, we are going to want to create the character database, right? So what we do here is, usually if you want to create yourself something like, like an object for users, like if you had like users or maybe you had tutorials or posts or comments or something, you create a controller for it, which basically does all the logic, and then you have a model, and the model accesses the database, and you have a view, and the view is what you show to the user. And we can do all of this already pre-set up. This is another thing of convention over configuration. You can literally just type in Rails G, or sorry, generate, but you can just use G if you like. Scaffold, and scaffold makes all the models, all the views, all the controllers. It makes them a resource, it sets up the tests, and it basically gives you the CRUD interface. It allows you to create, delete, edit, and view a particular resource, and a resource is going to be character. And you don't put an S on it, it's not characters, your resource is one character, and then you create instances of that character. So like, character is what it is, and then, a certain character will be character ID 1, character ID 2, that sort of stuff. And so we go Rails G scaffold character, and then we put in some info about our character. So we'll say name, string, and we want to give him a description, which will be text. Text is just like string, except there's no limit on the, well, there is a limit, but a much higher limit on how much you can put in. And then we want what anime he's from. We'll give that a string 2. Once that's done, hit enter, and it will generate all these files for us. First of all, it generated us a migration. Migrations are like I was telling you before. All we need to do is run one command, and it will read through this folder, this file here, and add the sections to the database. So if we quickly jump to Sublime Text, and we go to database, migrate, you'll see here's our create characters migration. And basically what it says is define change. So it says create table characters, and inside that table create a column named name, which is a string, a column named description, which is a text, and a column named anime, which is string, and then add timestamps on the end. So it'll automatically add in when it was the date and time it was created and the date and time it was edited. What it will also do, without you having to do, is give it a unique ID. So, you know, normally you have to put in the ID field, you don't have to do that with this. So we have that already there, and we can put it in or take it back just using one command, and I'll show you that now. If we go rake is the tool to mess with the database, and we go rake database migrate, and what migrate does is it runs all of the files you have in your migrate folder and builds the database. And if you don't like something, if you made a mistake and you want to remove something from the database, you just go roll back and it will remove the last one. So the last one that did. If I had 2 in there, migrate would run both of them, and then you roll back 1, and I'd only have the first one. You roll back again, I'd have none. So we're going to run db migrate. And you see here, create table characters, and it's done. Let's have a look what else it generated quickly. It created our model, and our model is just a file that Rails uses to access the database. Basically, it knows that characters belong to the character model, and the character model belongs to the character's controller. And all of the views inside the characters folder belong to the character's controller as well. And it does this all automatically because of convention over configuration. It knows that models have to be a single case, like character, and they know that the controller is going to be the same thing with an S on the end, depending on it. You know, it could be an IES or something, but it can tell that itself. It's very smart. And then it knows to check the folder named what the controller is to look for the views, and it does this all by itself. It's incredibly handy. And you'll see, just for this, we have pretty much everything done. Only one thing I want to do now is set up a root so we can easily access the page. So if we open up Sublime Text and go into our config, roots, and this is saying, okay, we want to say root to characters, so that's our controller. You always go through the controller first, and then to a method inside our controller. And if we have a look at our controller quickly, characters controller, we have index, which displays all of the characters, and we want to do that. So characters hash index, and that will take us right there. And you'll notice there isn't actually much in here, just literally at characters equal to character all. That's because you don't have to say, alright, I want the index function to render out this page and put in this info. Basically, you know, you could say, you know, render layouts slash characters slash index dot html.erb. But it automatically knows that that's what should be there, or what would normally go there, and it does it all for you. Yeah, so yeah, this is just it. Root to characters and index, and root is basically takes it when you put absolutely nothing here, like, you know, none of that. This is your root path, and if I hit enter, you'll see there listing characters. So this is the index page, and if we hit new characters, it goes /characters/new, and you'll see if I quickly go here, we have a new function here, and the same thing. It'll look for the view inside the folder named new, and it's rendering that view. And I'll say Kamina, badass as fuck, anime will be Tengen Toppa and Lagan, and we go create character, and it says characters was successfully created, and it lists all of your things here. And if you go back, you'll see it lists it on the index page. We can also show it, which takes us to the page, edit, takes us there as well. These are all just functions in the controller. And destroy. And you'll notice destroy down the bottom, it actually takes us to the same URL as the show. And this is using REST. Show takes us to that URL with a GET request, and destroy takes us there using a destroy request. And because the application is RESTful, it knows to destroy it instead of show you it. And this really cuts down on your resources and many other things. And you go, you sure? You go, okay, and it's gone. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. So this is basically our incredibly simple, unstyled character database, but it's all them, and we have what we need, and it is very easy to add onto it and build it. And those of you who do web development could probably see just from this, if using the system as a foundation for your app, you can end up with some really incredible websites and web apps very fast. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. And if you're interested in getting into Rails, feel free to hit me up and say hello. I suppose I can help out if I can. Anyway, much love as always, guys. Bye bye.